Morning shows aren't all sunshine and feel-good stories. Sometimes shocking scandals involving their hosts can overshadow the news itself. Here's the tea about morning TV. As far as viewers knew, the relationship between Good Morning America co-anchors Amy Robach and T.J. Holmes was platonic, until it wasn't. The speculation began on November 10, 2022, when the co-workers, who were still married to other people at the time, were spotted getting flirtatious with each other while having post-work drinks at an Irish pub in Times Square. Photos obtained by the Daily Mail show Robach and Holmes keeping their distance from each other when they left the pub, but they ended up getting in the same Uber SUV just minutes later. The co-anchors were reportedly headed to Holmes' Manhattan apartment. Just a few days later, on November 13th, Holmes and Robach were also seen spending the weekend together in a cozy cottage in upstate New York. On November 28th, they were caught going to each other's apartments. Robach and Holmes also held hands as they shared another Uber ride together. On December 5th, 2022, Good Morning America announced that Holmes and Robach wouldn't be on air for a while. An insider told People, GMA decided to have a period of cooling down because they thought this was unwanted attention. By January 27, 2023, it was confirmed that the pair would no longer be on the morning show. Robach and Holmes have since confirmed the relationship on Instagram and launched their own podcast. Another twist, Holmes and Robach's exes reportedly rebounded with one another. In February 2023, an on-air discussion on CNN This Morning turned controversial when then co-host Don Lemon made a comment about Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley isn't in her prime, sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Haley was 51 at the time. When co-host Poppy Harlow asked Lemon to clarify his remarks, he seemingly attempted to walk back his comment by stating that it came from Google. In response to the backlash that followed, CNN decided to let Lemon go on a hiatus for a few days. When he returned to CNN This Morning, it looked like business as usual, and the host took to social media to issue an apology. By April 2023, however, CNN decided to part ways with the longtime host. Lemon claimed that he only learned of his firing through his agent, arguing that the network should have had the decency to inform him of his termination directly. CNN later denied Lemon's claims, stating he was offered an opportunity to meet with management but instead released a statement on Twitter. Reports later claimed that Lemon's tense exchange with Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy on air in April 2023 was the last straw. In 2016, Gretchen Carlson took the late Roger Ailes to court. As the New York Times reported, Carlson claimed that her employment with Fox was unfairly terminated after she refused the now disgraced Fox executive's sexual advances. In the months that followed, Fox settled with Carlson, and Ailes resigned from his post before dying a year later. But the story didn't end there. A copy of Carlson's complaint revealed that sometime in September 2009, she approached her supervisor to complain about her co-host Steve Doocy. According to the suit, Doocy treated Carlson inappropriately both on air and even between broadcasts. The suit read in part, Doocy engaged in a pattern and practice of severe and pervasive sexual harassment of Carlson, including, but not limited to, mocking her during commercial breaks, shutting her off air, refusing to engage with her on air, belittling her contributions to the show, and generally attempting to put her in her place. Despite being named in the suit, Doocy has remained on Fox and Friends. Meanwhile, Carlson's story was the inspiration for the Showtime miniseries The Loudest Voice, wherein Naomi Watts portrayed the veteran journalist. Nicole Kidman portrayed Carlson in the biopic Bombshell, which is based on the story of Megyn Kelly, Kayla Pospisil, and Carlson taking down Ailes. Carlson was unable to participate in either project due to her NDA. She told Variety, "It was surreal for me to watch it on the screen, my story playing out." Back in 2012, Today shocked fans with the sudden departure of Ann Curry, although she would remain on NBC. Curry herself confirmed the news live on the morning show.
I'm sorry I couldn't carry the ball over the finish line, but man, I did try.
Curry's exit came following rumors that NBC wanted her out of the anchor position at Today as the network dealt with disappointing ratings. There were also reports that executives didn't think Curry and her co-anchor Matt Lauer had chemistry. Lauer was one of NBC's stars at the time, and the network wasn't about to let go of its golden boy unless they absolutely had to. There was also speculation that Curry lost her Today job directly because of Lauer. Back in 2012, her last year on Today, a female staffer at NBC confided in Curry that Lauer sexually harassed her. While Curry kept the woman's identity a secret, she took the matter to the higher-ups. She told the Washington Post years later, "I told management they had a problem and they needed to keep an eye on him and how he deals with women." Once upon a time, viewers may have been surprised to find Rob Marciano out of office. The veteran reporter has been a fixture on ABC since 2014, starting as a substitute weather anchor before becoming the senior meteorologist. Over the years, Marciano also regularly appeared on shows including This Week, ABC World News Tonight, GMA3, What You Need to Know, and of course Good Morning America and Good Morning America Weekend Edition. In 2023, Marciano continued to deliver weather coverage for Good Morning America, but his reporting never took place in the actual studio. As it turns out, this wasn't Marciano's choice. According to a report from Page 6, the decision was made to keep the senior meteorologist out of the studio following an incident with a colleague. An insider told the publication, "He was found to have done something that wasn't proper, but he was punished for it, and they still haven't let him return." Other sources also claimed that there have been other incidents involving Marciano and that the meteorologist had anger issues. Because of this, Good Morning America executive producer Simone Swink decided not to let Marciano do his segment from the studio for everyone's sake. Months later, in October, Marciano announced that he was scaling back on his work with ABC, departing from his weather forecasting duties on Good Morning America Weekend Edition to prioritize his family. In 2019, Good Morning America host Laura Spencer made an inappropriate comment about the young British royal Prince George. It all began in 2018 when George's parents, Prince William and Princess Catherine, revealed that their eldest son, then 5 years old, was taking dance classes at school. The following year, when Spencer delivered hot news on Good Morning America, she briefly discussed Prince George's busy schedule as he returned to school and openly mocked the prince taking up ballet.
Prince William says George absolutely loves ballet. I have news for you, Prince William. We'll see how long that lasts.
The backlash was swift following Spencer's on-air comments, with 300 dancers showing up outside the Good Morning America studio in Times Square. Meanwhile, celebrities including Derek Hough, George Takei, and Rosie O'Donnell called out Spencer for her joke. The Good Morning America host later apologized and even did a special segment with dancers Robbie Fairchild, Fabrice Calmez, and Travis Wall.
I'm really sorry.
Apology accepted.
Absolutely, 100%.
As the 2016 U.S. presidential race was heating up, it was almost certain that Billy Bush, who had recently taken a job on Today, was in Donald Trump's corner. As the Washington Post reported at the time, Bush was caught having a candid conversation with Trump in an Access Hollywood tape where the then presidential candidate made inappropriate comments about women, and Bush egged him on. Speaking about women, he said, "I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait." Years later, Bush also revealed that Today initially assured him that his job was safe after the tape was released. He also issued an apology saying, "It's no excuse, but this happened 11 years ago. I was younger, less mature, and acted foolishly in playing along. I'm very sorry." Just 2 days after the leak, Bush was suspended and then was eventually let go from the network. Bush later returned to television as the host of Extra, but his new gig hasn't been without controversy. In another leaked tape in 2023, Bush can be heard making an inappropriate comment about Kendall Jenner's Halloween costume. In 2014, Tamron Hall officially joined Today after making several appearances on the show for special events and reports on social media trends. The veteran reporter had been at NBC News since 2007, where she started as a fill-in anchor for MSNBC. She had made her way up the ladder and earned her stripes, and today was meant to be Hall's time to shine. Apparently, NBC had other plans. In 2017, the network decided to cancel Take, a segment on Today hosted by Hall and Al Roker. In doing so, NBC would be able to make room for Megyn Kelly, who was moving to NBC News just after leaving Fox. While Hall was allowed to keep working at NBC, she didn't really see it that way. She later told ET, "I go into work one day, I left fired. Demoted, I guess is what they called it. I called it fired." Thankfully, Hall has been doing just fine in recent years. She hosts the Tamron Hall Show, which has already won 2 Daytime Emmys. Hall has also been hard at work on her cookbook, children's book, and mystery book series, along with other projects. Just as NBC News planned, Megyn Kelly took over an hour of its Today Show after it canceled a segment by Tamron Hall and Al Roker. Despite the circumstances, it seemed like Kelly was going to fit in just fine. Her arrival was even celebrated by Today stars Kathy Lee Gifford, Hoda Kotb, Savannah Guthrie, and Matt Lauer. But not long after Kelly started to host Megyn Kelly Today, things went very wrong. In 2018, Kelly had a roundtable discussion on Halloween costumes where she proceeded to defend blackface.
Back when I was a kid, that was okay as long as you were dressing up as like a character.
Kelly's comments sparked immediate backlash, and even though the host issued an apology the very next day, NBC was swift in its decision. The network immediately moved to cancel Kelly's segment and her future appearances on Today. That said, Kelly reportedly got to make her exit with the remainder of her $69 million deal with the network. For a time, Matt Lauer was one of NBC News' most celebrated journalists. He had an estimated $20 to $25 million salary per year to prove it, and it seemed like his morning show stardom would never fade. But as the Me Too movement started gaining traction, things began to unravel for Lauer. In November 2017, a woman came forward to NBC executives accusing the longtime anchor of sexual harassment. Andrew Lack, then the NBC News chairman, explained in a memo, "While it is the first complaint about his behavior in the over 20 years he's been at NBC News, we were also presented with reason to believe this may not have been an isolated incident." Their reasoning was solid. Not long after that, 2 more women came forward with similar complaints. After NBC launched an investigation into its veteran reporter, it decided to terminate Lauer. The Today staff was only informed of these developments just before the show was about to go on the air.
As I'm sure you can imagine, we are devastated and we are still processing all of this.
Since then, one of Lauer's first accusers has been identified as former NBC News staffer Brooke Nevels. In Ronan Farrow's Catch and Kill, Nevels alleged that Lauer raped her in his hotel room while they were covering the 2014 Sochi Olympics. Lauer later denied this to Variety, claiming that he and Nevels had a consensual affair. Nevertheless, at least 8 people have come forward with accusations against Lauer. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, help is available. Visit the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network website or contact RAIN's National Helpline at 1-800-656-HOPE 4673.